We're good on all the cameras?
Yeah, we're good.
Good evening and welcome to Saj Hussain's Ask Me Anything About Property Investing. So the purpose of this live is really to be able to answer your questions, whatever questions you have around property that might be able to help you with. Now, first to stick my hand up and say, look, I don't know everything there is to know about property investing, but I certainly have a lot of experience and I'm happy to share that with you to help you get further, faster in your property journey. So this evening we're in a beautiful place down in Rugby where I'm actually at a Christmas do. So I've just nipped out for half an hour just to be able to do this for you. I'm missing my pudding, so hopefully I'll go back for that in a short while. Once I've served you for the next 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it might be. So that will depend on what questions you have for me, and I'll do my very best, as I said, to answer those. To start with, what I'll do is I'll answer a couple of questions that were left over from last week that I haven't been able to answer in the time that we had, and then make sure if you want your question answered, start typing in below in the comment section. My lovely assistant over here, Callie, will then let me know what those are, and we'll get those answered for you. So let me just go and grab the first question. So, first question was from Yasmin Taylor that was left over from last week I hadn't answered. If you have an approved AIP, does that guarantee a mortgage? So what Yasmin means by that, but first of all, actually, let me just quick caveat. I'm not a financial advisor, mortgage advisor, or qualified to give any financial advice. What I'm doing is just sharing with you my knowledge and experience around investing in property. So what Yasmin is referring to is sometimes they'll call a decision in principle or a DIP. And what that means is a mortgage lender has looked at your application and in principle, they'd be happy to lend you the money. In principle, they'd be happy to lend you the money that you need for your mortgage. That's essentially what a DIP is or an AIP is, but that doesn't guarantee that you'll get the mortgage. It's just saying from the basic information they've done, such as a credit check, and in the information you've submitted in terms of income and what you're doing and how long you live somewhere, it looks like it should be okay. But of course, the lenders will do their own due diligence and make sure that they satisfy themselves before they actually lend any money. So in short, just because you've got a DIP or an AIP, that's not 100% cast iron guarantee that you will get a mortgage. It just means in principle, from the information you've shared with them so far, it looks like they're quite happy with that and they'd be okay to lend you X amount of money. They usually give you an amount that they'll be happy with. So hopefully that answers your question. Therefore, you let me grab the next one. So next question is from Elias from Aroma Care. How do we make sure a HMO gets a commercial valuation? Really good question. So what do we mean, first of all, by a commercial valuation? Well, it's a little bit like, let's say you had a shop, and it might be, let's say, a little corner shop selling hardware items, whatever it might be, or selling widgets. And at some point you decide you might want to sell that business. So how do they value that business? Well, they value it by the net profit it makes and a multiple of that. So often it's X times whatever the profit. So let's just keep things really simple. Let's say you are making £100,000 a year and might have a 10 times valuation. So it could be worth £1 million. For example, it could be a valuation. Now, some of it would be some of the valuation would be for the goodwill part of the business, or even non-tangible parts. Some of it might be for the stock, some of it might be for the building itself. Now, what's that got to do with HMOs? Well, when we think about HMOs, one way to value it is it's pretty much a house, just like the one on the left and just like the one on the right, and maybe even the one opposite across the road. So when they're valuing these properties, sometimes you'll get what's called a bricks and mortar valuation. That means what's it worth as a house, which will be similar to the ones on the left and right, and maybe the one across the road. Now, in that situation, the valuation you're going to get is pretty much what it is worth as a house. Now, because you've spent possibly a significant amount of money on that property, converting it, for instance, you might have fitted 6 ensuite rooms, there's no family bathroom no more, there's no communal lounge, there's a huge kitchen. And what that is, means that we've got quite a substantial investment that you've made into that property. Now, I've just got a load of people walking to that can come and join me. So,
hello. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Tidings we bring.
I don't know the rest of the words.
Come and join the gym.
Join us, Jim.
So this is the party that I sneaked out of to do this live. So now you have an amazing group of people here that can answer all your questions. So it's not just me now. So fire away with your question. In fact, let's do a quick introduction. from this side, Jim. Tell us who you are, and let's do. We might as well go all the way around.
My name is Jim Halliburton, also known as the HMO Daddy. I don't know what led you up here for.
Jim, you're not actually in the picture.
I know. I've got to come in the picture. Oh, yeah, there you are. Yeah, there we are. Yep. You're in the way. That's the problem. Jim Halliburton, HMO Daddy. All the questions you want to ask about HMOs, anything else, or just tell us about your sad life, because it'll cheer us all up.
Fantastic. Keep going.
Hello. I'm David. Where am I? Oh, there I am. I've been in property for 40 years. So ask me anything you want to know about that, especially about property cycles, but also about the different kind of investments there are.
Fantastic. Arsh?
I'm the one that doesn't look like Santa Claus right now. So my name's Arsh Alahi. Been involved in property 19 years. Got quite an extensive portfolio based in Wolverhampton. Ask any questions. Thank you.
Fantastic. Ranjan?
I'm a newbie investor, just getting started, dabbling in commercial property, done one or two deals, so I've just got started. So if you've got any questions on commercial property, I'll be happy to answer them.
Fantastic.
I'm Andrew Roberts. I'm the host of the Great Property Meet, investing in commercial and residential property along the East Midlands corridor. Thank you.
Keep going, guys.
Hi, this is Piotr Rusnek, the auction pro. I'm the co-author of Before the Hammer Falls and the auction expert, and I wrote this book with Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay Howard. I've been in property for 17 years. I co-authored the book Before the Hammer Falls with Piotr, and I'm the auction insider. Ask any questions about auctions, short lease houses and flats, blocks of flats, commercial mixed use, and anything else of interest.
Fantastic. So what do we do now? Do we get questions answered about all these guys? Should we tell them all to bugger off so we can carry on? Choice is yours. So I'll let you carry on. In fact, one of you guys can answer the question. The question we have right now is around commercial valuations on HMOs. How do we go about getting what they mean? So
you've got the perfect
maybe Jim, you can start us off with that one.
Hello. Yes. Commercial valuations. I'll insult all the valuers out there. To give an example, I bought an HMO in auction. It wasn't an HMO, it's just a terraced house, which I spent 60 grand on, and I got a valuer to come along. The first valuer valued it at 0. The second valuer asked me how much I paid for it, and I said 70 grand in auction. He goes around, measures it up, comes back, I get a valuation of 70,000. But I asked him, why do you value for 70? He said, well, that's what you paid for it. So that's the best indication of value. I think, what I pay you 500 quid for? He said, you didn't pay me 500 quid. You may have paid the bridging company 500 quid. I only got about 50 quid of that. Oh, right. Well, I can understand you're not going to put yourself out on that one. And then I'm on the third one, came along, gave me a valuation of 180, more like it. And then the fourth one, which is the one I like, gave me a value of 200,000. Now we're talking business. It's just made up. It's chickens' entrails. Depends on the valuer, depends on what they want to do. The golden rule in this is don't give up. It's like your love life. You ask a girl out and she says no. Do you give up? No. You ask her back for coffee. She says no. You try. You keep trying. And that's what you've got to do with property. Yeah. Don't be put off by the first valuer, the second valuer. Talk to other people in the business and they will tell you who are going to be reasonable valuers, those who charge you a commercial valuation and give you a commercial valuation. The ones that really annoy me are the ones who come along and they go, it's a house. So this house in the street is only worth 120,000, but it's worth $500,000 as an HMO based on its income. But they only value it at 90 grand. How'd you come up with 90 grand? The one next door is worth 120. Oh yeah, it'll cost you 30 grand to put it back to a house. That's what I'm going to value. But I am paying you for a commercial valuation. Shut me up, I'm going to carry on all day.
Since we've got all these amazing minds here, and we've only got about half an hour, let's use all the time that we have today. So maybe, David, what's your thoughts on where we are market-wise and where do you see it going over the next next
Oh my goodness, that is the 10,000.
You literally only have a couple of minutes. Remember, you're not the main speaker this evening. So. In a nutshell.
How do you say
So,
not the main speaker?
You come over this side of it.
we had a very interesting chat, didn't we? And Ranjan was there, and Andrew was there last month. And we were talking about, oh my goodness me, this is see. And we were talking about where we think kind of things are going. It's complex at the moment, isn't it? I think the best thing to say is that number one, why didn't all the overseas investors pitch in with low sterling, as they always do, to sort of bring things up? Were they scared about Brexit? I don't think so. So there must have been something else at play there. But I think all will become clear on December the 13th. What does everybody else think?
Fantastic. So Ranja, what do you think if traditional property investors, maybe what they should be thinking about over the next 12 months or so?
Next 12 months, I'm just going to carry on from David, and I'll come on to that in a moment. I think a lot depends on the election. I think if Boris wins the majority, or even if there's a hung parliament, there's going to be fun times for all of us involved in property investing, because we're going to see more PD, more permitted development opportunities with commercial properties, and repurposing them, and also converting them to residential use. That's going to be fantastic. Labour would represent a minor problem for anyone involved in property, because it is going to be involved a dismantling of the whole capitalist system. But whatever happens on Friday, I think it's going to be hung parliament or a Conservative victory. There's still going to be uncertainty, because this Brexit lark ain't over. But at least we've got uncertainty within a capitalist system. And that means there'll be plenty of fun for anyone involved in property, particularly in 2020 is the best time.
Fantastic, thank you. So guys, auctions have been very hot recently over the last couple of years. Birmingham, pretty much everything has been flying way over kind of traditional prices. Where do you see the future in auctions over the next year or so?
Well, that's I really hope that Birmingham will continue to do that, because I'm selling a property for a client on Wednesday. Birmingham auction. So that's good. And Coventry. So I think this is going to continue. Auctions always perform. This is it's a place for transactions to happen. So they will continue happening. There will be always people that are wanting to buy, and there will always be people that have to sell because of whatever reasons, and auctions will continue to perform. The prices are the kind of question. We don't know what the prices are going to be like, but there will be transactions happening in the auctions.
So the good news is that auctions are considered by most to be the barometer for the property market in general. So you can take a good lead from a 3-month catalogue, or at least previous auctions, to see where the market sentiment is. What we're seeing at the moment is a massive change in asset class, in terms of the quality of property being entered into auction and the success and saleability of those properties. So there's a massive shift there. I was expecting in recent years, with the changes with Article 24 and things like that, all of those things changing, that a lot of investors were going to just ditch as much stock as possible if it was in their personal name, etc., etc. That didn't happen. A lot of people decided to incorporate under LLP. Going forward, I think that a lot of people are going to start looking to exit residential because of the uncertainty, whether you go labour or commercial, whichever way you go, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty there. I think commercial is going to improve in standard, in size, and in capacity at auction at least. I think that one of the big things I want to see actually is, I think permitted development, as great as it is actually just a band-aid. It's a plaster over the situation. You can only do so much with the existing buildings that are in supply at the moment. They're not enough. Governments, whoever it is going to have to increase that housing stock level, and that's going to be building. They're not going to do the bloody things themselves. They have to hand it over to the private people, and those are the people who've been doing it since Margaret Thatcher decided to sell off all the housing stock in the 70s. So we were here for a reason. We served the purpose. We're not finished, and we should carry on the same way we had before. And there's so much opportunity abound. So I'm looking forward to 2020 as the year to take over the world.
Absolutely. You mentioned something very key there. Auctions can be a barometer for us in terms of what's happening in the market. What would you say is a good percentage level when stock's being sold to know that the market's still quite strong, or an indicator where it might be changing?
I would say you're seeing a lot of for London auctions at the very least, with the exception of McHugh's last week and the month before, who've done 90% auction, 16 million raised in the last auction. Very impressive statistics, very much bucking the trend. You start seeing things like Savills and Allsops hitting the mid to late 60s, which is, even from 2007, 2008, they were still in the mid 70s. So there are some underlining currents there that probably haven't really come to the fore yet. So it'd be interesting to really pick David's mind, probably over dinner. But I think regionally, this isn't the same kind of thing as 2008. You're seeing much more of an implosion within London, and actually still a lot of marginal growth in the regions. Previously, it was an explosion. So London had basically pushed all the crap out, and it affected the regions more, and London recovered quicker. There's a part of me that doesn't think that's going to happen. The problem that you have here is we're rolling into 2020, and David's a big fan of this, property cycles. Actually, you've got the financial cycle, which kicks off in 2024. So you have a couple of years of uncertainty from 2016 to now. If Brexit does or doesn't happen, whatever's going to happen in the next 6 months will really be illuminating. And in that time, there's no real way to discern what's going to happen. I personally think even if Brexit was agreed and it was a no deal with WTO, or if there was a deal, however terrible it's going to be, and there's, unfortunately, because of Ireland, there's never going to be a good deal. Whatever is going to happen is going to have a substantial effect, and that will take a year or two, A, to formulate and come out in its true purpose, and B, whatever the reaction of that is, whether it's going to be the fact that we've had the cheapest money in circulation in the last 30 years, and there's people been in property far longer than I have here that would probably, and nodding, which is perfect, how that's going to affect things in terms of real value. And you had the question about the HMOs and the commercial mortgages and how people are valuing things. Jim's absolutely correct. The problem is something is worth what you're willing to pay for it, or even on a commercial valuation, what it stacks up on a multiplier. It's such a strange marketplace. The trick is just to keep digging.
I agree with everything you said. Just one thing to add a little bit. I think there's a lot of evidence to say that over the last 6 to 8 months, a lot of stock has been held back from the market.
Yeah.
Now, there's only so long people can wait, because Brexit ain't going to be done because of the selection. There's still going to be a period of uncertainty. So you'll find that everyone runs to their own time clock. A necessity will kick in for everyone who's looking to sell. And we're going to see more people getting into sod it, put it on the market. They've waited, and that's going to happen more and more in 2020. And I think we'll see more stock levels, which means more opportunity.
There is a part of me that really enjoys the fact there's a lot of stock being held back. That sounds really counterintuitive. But the less transactions that take place, the more pressure there is on central government to re-evaluate the stamp duty rules.
Oh, yes.
Because the moment they start seeing those coffers empty because traders and property investors and developers are not transacting.
Yes.
It's a strange, obviously we make up, obviously not the massive part of the market, but a fair proportion. Now we can swing the market in any direction if we all move in the same, jump at the same time, which would obviously never happen. But the fact that large portfolio holders are withholding stock, I think that will apply a bit of pressure. And I'd very much like to see the central government at least try a stamp duty holiday, or people who are downsizing paying no stamp duty, or removal of the 3% just a little bit, just so they can really see how their policies are affecting the true market and what that means to their coffers.
I like that. So you don't pay stamp duty, use it to go on holiday.
Well, absolutely. Well, with his transactions, we can all go on holiday.
So, Andrew, Section 24 was just mentioned a short while ago. So, what do you think is the reason there hasn't been this massive dump into the market which everyone's been talking about, because it's going to impact people in such a negative way they'll just get rid of their portfolios and dump them?
Yeah, I think there's several answers. As Ranjan and others here all know, as sophisticated investors, there are ways and means to actually sidestep and walk around Section 24. That's one of the reasons. The second reason is landlords, if they were to dump all their stock at once, they know if you're in King's Standing in Birmingham and your portfolio is in King's Standing, you bring 200 properties to market, all of a sudden that's going to ripple the prices in that market. So anything that is released would be released on a one-off basis. The other thing is, when you look at prices of assets, and I've said to many people, use clause 24 as an excuse to review your portfolio. Keeping for the long term is great. However, if the demographic of a town has moved away, we're seeing this with retail, where it was high streets moved to out of town. Now out of towns are dying because warehouses are dead, because Amazon does all of that. If the town has moved, or the demographic, because you see it more prevalently in London, where districts all of a sudden blossom and become the place to live, then get rid of your dogs in your portfolio.
Yeah,
it's no good keeping them, and buy yourself something that's going to be a rising star.
It's been able to adapt with the market as the market
Correct.
adapts. And I said the only certainty in the property market is constant change.
Totally.
Could it be, may I suggest, that the reason there hasn't been a massive dumping for property is so few landlords actually have mortgages? You're assuming, I can't remember the statistics, but it's only about 20% have mortgages. And also, you haven't taken into account, due respect to all landlords out there, how thick some landlords are. They don't realise and they don't understand the tax system.
No.
So I come across landlords who don't realise. They just say, I've got no money. And I said, I've got a massive tax bill. I said, have you heard of Section 24? What's that? And they don't realise what it is.
Yeah.
So
there are 5.6 million landlords, and 2.6 million landlords, 5.6 million properties. And when you look at the split between it, there are only a number of people like ourselves and the people on this webinar who are educated, knowledgeable, and taking action. A lot of those that are referred to are heads in the sand ostriches.
Many accidental landlords.
And they've only got
Yes.
1 or 2 properties anyway.
Yeah.
So it hasn't clicked. So it could take a year or 2 when they get a massive tax bill and they can't pay it. Then it will perhaps come onto the market.
Yes.
And now, I'm a great contrarian, and so when I see a very respected member of the community make a video that says "buy to let is dead," I think yes, buy some more. when I see a video, when I see that people are taking commercial properties and creating residential assets out of them, I think, now what's there going to be a shortage of? So I think we always have to think outside the box, think around the problem, see where everybody's heading, and look what's going on over there.
So Arch, earlier we were just talking about Article 4 in Birmingham, going Article 4 citywide for middle of next year, and in Wolverhampton that's already happened some years ago. How do you think, or what do you think people should be thinking about with Article 4 coming to Birmingham and HMOs?
Okay, so Wolverhampton became Article 4, I think it's September 2018. So what I started to do early 2018, I started land banking. When I talk about land banking, I started house banking. So I knew that Article 4 was coming in Wolverhampton. So first thing that I did, I went and put in 30 applications for 30 properties that I may be buying, properties that I was interested in, and we put in HMO applications. Now you're thinking, why would I do that? Because I'm futurising my asset or my future asset. So properties that we negotiated with landlords where we hadn't taken on yet, or we're going to take them on later on in the year. We had contracts in place for a lot of them. They're properties that we still haven't taken on yet, but we've got a live HMO application for. And what that is basically said to the council is that I've got almost like existing use. I've shown you existing use. You've got an application, you've got a check in my name. And as a result, we've land banked pretty much another 30 HMO. Now, Wolverhampton Council called Wolverhampton HMO. They called it, HMO Hampton, and they blamed both me and Jim for that. Jim, correct?
I don't know.
Okay, well, they certainly blame me. They certainly blame me because we've got quite a lot, and I wouldn't say we've saturated the market because I don't think we've not hit anywhere near saturation.
Dominated.
Yeah. I don't like saying. Yeah, okay, we dominated. But what we do, and it's the same stuff that we do with land. We try and land bank. Now, if you're in Birmingham, if you're in an area where you know that Article 4 is coming in, be proactive. You know that it's coming in. You know that there's going to be a challenge coming ahead. So start looking at properties, start speaking to landlords, start understanding what's going to go on, and think, how can I prevent my business going forward? How can I, sorry,
I was wondering about that. How do you prevent your business going forward?
Are we allowed to swear?
That would be a good seminar.
Okay. How do you prevent your business? So what we've done is that I've got now, I think I've still got another 20 applications that I can use. So these are within Wolverhampton, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Article 4 came in 2 years ago. I've still got 20 properties that I can still create HMOs in, and they can't turn around and say, well, we didn't know about that. So yes, you did. Check your records. 2 years ago, I put the application in for that. You've got the fee for it, and it works extremely well.
Fantastic, thank you for that. So just before we wrap up, your final thoughts.
Saj, have you done much talking tonight?
Don't worry about that. Yes, we've got all these amazing people here. They can hear from me next time. Right. So just your final thoughts for 2020 before we kind of finish, and then next week we'll be back to normal. We'll be just me. But this week, right now, you're all these amazing people here, so let's make the most of it.
I'll start with, I believe it's a year of opportunity. I believe the next RICS report that will be coming out later this month will say prices are going to be negative or flat at very best. So it's a buying market for the next 3 to 4 years, in my opinion.
Fantastic. And cash is king.
Totally.
Fantastic.
Shall we wrap it up by saying one last thing? Whatever you do, just have fun with it. Whatever will happen, will happen. Would you agree?
Yeah.
We can't
We can't determine what's going to happen with Brexit.
What
we
can
can
control the
find out,
micro market, we can't control the macro.
Absolutely.
Right? So the stuff that we can control is what we decide to do and how we decide to move forward.
Absolutely right. I've been in property quite a long
300
time.
and
And everything that goes, there's plenty of black clouds in property, but they all have silver linings. You just don't realise it at the time. Ranjan told me this when I was sitting there moaning when the Housing Act came in, and Ranjan, a bit like me, but he's much politer in what he says, was saying, I just hate local authorities, I hate the government. I took all my properties out of HMO licensing. How did I do that? I had massive HMOs. He never tells you where they are, but he's got these massive HMOs. So he turned them all into flats. And guess what he did with these flats? But multi-let them. I thought, what a brilliant idea. That is what it does. These things just give you a kick up the arse, make you look at the assets and squeeze them a bit harder to make them better. Look at the opportunities, because it's a very comfortable business. You get a property, once you've got it up and going, it's paying you. And you don't look to say, how can you maximize the income? And all these changes do make you evaluate what you do. And as Andrew was saying, there's all these black clouds bring a lot of despondency, opportunities to be had, and it doesn't necessarily need cash either. This idea, you've got to have cash to get into property. People will hand the keys to you because they lose confidence in it. So if you're prepared to do what other people don't want to do, which usually is be a bloody landlord. No one wants to deal with tenants. For some reason, they're frightened of them. So be a landlord, do the job of looking after your tenants, caring for them. They will care for you, and you can get properties virtually being handed to you, which you can eventually buy once finance returns from the market, which it hasn't gone away anyway. So I'm not trying to say it's not there.
The thing I'd like to leave people with for 2020 is that I started investing in the 1990s, and I'd say that back then, for people getting started in property, there was pretty much one strategy. It was vanilla buy-to-let. You buy a flat, you rent it out on one AST. That was all you did. The really exciting thing about now more than ever is that if you're getting started in property, there are so many different. There are a good handful of strategies, different strategies that work, that you can get started in, that you can learn and get some expertise in. And it's all about what floats your boat, what ignites your passion in property, and pick the strategy that not necessarily someone's telling you makes the most money. Because if you do something well in property, it will reward you. But pick something that excites you.
Pick something that suits your personality.
That's
as
it.
well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Pick something that, if you don't like tenants, don't be a landlord. If you want to run a business, you want to become a hotelier, go into service accommodation. If you don't have the cash to get involved, you may discover some stuff like rent and rent lease options. If you don't like dealing with residential, you go into commercial. There's so many different opportunities out there,
yes.
But we get so many people fall into the trap of chasing the money.
Yeah, all of us here probably do something.
Well, that's what I was trying to say.
And don't be discouraged. When I started doing property, it was 1982. Everybody, I'd go to a family gathering, the uncle would put his arm around my shoulder and say, "You're still doing that? I'm sorry, things will look up." And the perception that people had then was Leonard Rossiter's Rigsby, who played a sort of HMO type landlord, who was a very dubious kind of fella. But it didn't stop me, and I followed what I could see was the right path. Everybody else was doing something else. There are always opportunities. There are always naysayers, but that holds them back. But it doesn't have to hold you back.
To be honest, I think we're all saying the same thing, just in different words. So I'll carry on the tradition. Property investing isn't black and white, so try and view it in technicolor. Consider added value. It is everywhere and it changes everything. So don't just be stoic in the way you approach things. There are always ways to add value to what it is that you're doing.
Whatever you do, come to auctions, check them out, and follow the trends that are happening there.
Wednesday, isn't it? Fantastic.
Wednesday,
I'll put a link to all these amazing guys. You've got 8 for the price of 1 this evening. So well done. So I'll put a link to and links to all these guys on below the video, and look forward to seeing you all next week.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and may the only turkey you get involved in be the one on Christmas Day.
Yes. Yeah, not a property one.
I have my hat.
Oh, that's yours. We're still live on that one. Thank you.
It's good fun, man.
Well done. Really good.
It's out of joke.